Um, okay, so it is a heat wave. I'm staying inside. Um, I need to kill a couple hours. And I also just thought this would be a fun thing to do. So we're doing a tier list, which is really just a vector for me to talk about each of my releases because I realized while I was getting all the images and stuff ready for this that I've actually been making music on SoundCloud for 7 years now. Um, which doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right. Yeah, that's just a weird, that's a weird thing for me to accept. Nearly a decade, and so I thought we could kind of go through all of them. I can kind of talk about each one, what its influences were, what I think its strong points were, what I think its weak points were, what it means to me, where I was when I was making it. So just a very casual video. So let's just get started, right? So first of all, we have Sleep Catching, which was the original name of my solo project music. Has been through a few iterations, and we'll go through them. But Sleep Catching was fun because I was just starting out. I started writing music in LMMS because I wanted to make a video game. I was very inspired by Nom Nom Nami, I guess by like Homestuck and Undertale a little bit, by In Love with a Ghost. Um, yeah, so all of that kind of like lo-fi electronica, and it was anything where I was kind of still learning all the rules of how everything works, learning the do's and don'ts, and how you use music software, what a VST is, really all that stuff. And so I think I was at that golden zone where you don't really know what the rules are, so you're just trying everything, and you can hit some really good stuff. I think a lot of the tracks, the melodies I was writing at this time, I guess for better of not really knowing how a key works, and just experimenting what sounds good. I think this has some really strong melodies, and some of it falls victim to like a kind of bland song, but like the one section that I got really just going really well. Um, but a lot of it's very cute. A lot of it's very fun. A lot of it feels very innocent and beautiful. I guess a lot of it I was trying to write for that game, so there's like a lot of characters and stories, and there's a lot of different settings and themes in here that I think going on. So we're gonna put Junk It right in C tier because I think it is just a really kind of special moment in time. This sleep catching thing, and you'll watch these three sleep catching works, that it's actually they do have like theme and lore and characters, where this guy originally had this mask. I guess this was really my self-insert character. He ended up taking off his mask and putting a bandage on and growing his hair out, and a lot of it just grew and evolved with me. But the next one is Requiem, which is a EP that I wrote to follow this one up, I think in the same year, so I would have been a 15 or 16. And really there's a couple songs on there that are just not very good. I guess this one more had a lot to say about like emotions and where I was in that moment, and a lot of meaning, but the tracks themselves weren't very strong. There's I think the second track on this guy called "I'm Going to Miss You," which I think is really, like, I'm really proud of it. I started getting into using more, like, there were still electronic instruments, but instead of more computery sounds and that, I was like into more using instruments and orchestral sounds. But the "I Miss You" track was really good. I wrote that for, I guess, a woman that was dating my dad for a couple of months that I really liked, and when they broke up I got quite sad. I wrote this the night before, the night of, and then went to school the next day. And to this day I think it's a really, like, I think I googled like what's the saddest key, right, and then wrote, and it was D minor, and then I think you can kind of follow it through for a little bit, where if I wanted to write a sad song I put it in D minor. But I think it was really, that song was really strong. I think the melody's good. I think I finally was figuring out how to like put drums together. um, but because I'm gonna put it in D tier, because other than that one song, a lot of the songs on there are quite flat. One of which was the first song I ever wrote, which is just like a ukulele breakup song, which was very, I guess, typical to the age group I was in. But I was like, dump that shit in piano roll, send it. So I guess it's really just a placeholder for the concept, really, in my head. But that is what I uploaded, and it's always nearly has 200 plays for some reason. And it's always the stuff that I'm not that proud of, and I just put up because no one listens to my stuff anyway. That ends up getting like heaps of views for some reason. Really weird. But other than that, little moment in time, quite beautiful. The last of the sleep catching releases. This is called Under the Weather. This album is very special to me. Well, conceptually, first of all, it's really beautiful. We have the character kind of transition to taking off the mask and putting on a blindfold. Has lots of like dramatic shots in front of like sunsets and that. Um, and I guess each of the characters on each of the characters on the cover represent a like issue I was going through at the time. Um, there is a lot of really strong songs on this album. I think I quite enjoyed making it. I ran away from home for 2 weeks, and was just I guess touring and all my friends that would let me stay, um, and I guess not even really doing anything, just sitting in the corner on my laptop. I guess parallel playing. I guess writing this album. Um, so I'd say most of the tracks on it are pretty good. I was starting to the first track that I ever sung in is on this one called "Weak," which I think is still really, really like, which is really pleasing to listen to. And a lot of the stuff on here is starting to have a lot of poetic weight. Even the last track on this is a poem, and we're starting to get into like writing lyrics here. Um, and it was early, and I was nervous to like push any like try anything super like difficult or daring, but I think it has kind of like a defiant nervousness to it. I quite like it. The outro song, which was one I wrote about losing a parent, is I sampled a lot from The Land Before Time, and so I did quite enjoy that. Well, and it's a very powerful one. I'm starting to get into what I coined. I don't know if I coined this, but I called it like electro classical because it was all made like in the piano roll, within the DAW, but it was using all like orchestral instruments and kind of like making arrangements that far. And I think it ended up being the outro track as well, and it's just being like this really powerful, cathartic like moment that I'm still proud of to this day. I find it hard to listen to because I get a bit emotional about it, but really good. There was one track, I forget what it's called, where I have this really good violin VST that I was using, and I think I was making some really like because I was starting to kind of learn how to actually use a scale here, just making some real twingy like twist the knife feeling melodies, and I was like using the drums in a way that was driven, and I had this like synthy backing to it, and the fusion of those, like I just think I was doing something really cool here. Not all the tracks on here I think are very strong. One of them, I think it was technically in the key that I was trying to use, but it just sounds really grating and jarring when I listen to it. So yeah, so I don't really like that song on it, but I think it also represented the moment it was having, and trying to do some lo-fi hip hop and the characters, and so it was, I guess, artistically part of it, but as a song I don't really like it. But other than a couple of tracks, I think this is a stronger release of mine, and I like it. And that does draw to the end this kind of like character and project sleep catching. And I started to, and then I had a dream. I had a dream where I was like some big like SoundCloud rapper or something, and I had like Sleepy tattooed on my eyelids, and I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna change my project name to Big Sleepy. And so I did, and so the first project that I did under Big Sleepy was called Theoretically in Motion. And this is where we started, I started to introduce, I was starting to get more inspired by like indie singer-songwriter, like bedroom guitar guys, like Flat Sound, Mitchell Welling, all of the kind of moment we were having online with like teen suicide and artists like that. And so I started wanting to include more of that, and so Theoretically in Motion, I started to do that. I'll be real, some of the tracks on this release are pretty garbage. There's a couple I just really don't like listening to, and I wish I didn't include it. I had just been more patient and written, I guess, a better song to make it to the 8 song I can release an album now. But because they're not very like they suffer from. I'm starting to use physical instruments, and so my recording gear was very cheap, and so you just hear that like really low recording quality, like chainsaw in the background. I wasn't quite sure how to mix things down yet. Um, but despite that, I think there's some really strong, like poetic, lyrical, and I'm starting to use the acoustic guitar in there as well for a couple of songs. One of which being Bird Queen. Um, I think is really strong because I'm able to like express these. I feel like emotional and concepts still going through these like characters and stories, and I quite like. It was a lot of fun to make this. It was a lot of fun to make this album, and even though it was messy and quite lazy production wise, um, I want to give it. I want to give it B just. Because it's hard because the songs that are on there that are good are really good, and I really like them. It's just that it's gonna get to see just because as much as the moment was really fun and the aesthetic I was building was really fun, um, I just think there's some really weak songs on this release. But it does have a special place in my heart, and I think if I had to rank my favorites, this would definitely be in the top three. But yeah, it's just not that. So that's the first big Sleepy release. What came after that was From All This Falling and Broken Bones, I Was Able to Teach You How to Fly. And now this is the follow up to Theoretically Emotion, the way that Requiem was follow up to Sleep Catching, in that I was still continuing on from the same inspirations and that, but I was starting to get inspired more by like grungy and Nirvana and Kurt Cobain's solo work. Um, with this album, and so I kind of took the physical instruments and the lyricism, and started to lean it more into that direction. And I guess my songwriting was starting to really get affected by the I guess the growing importance of using drugs in my life, and this is something I'm going to bring up next time. Is I used to think, and this was like if I got high enough on if I got high on something that would like elevate my creativity. But really, I would just get cooked to make these really whack tracks, um, which was, I guess not what I was going for, but the creativity was there. But yeah, so we're starting to. There's one track on here called Bodies that I think is one of my favorite, like, just guitar and singing and lyric and vocals song I've made, and held a lot of emotional weight at the time. Um, Whereas the rest of the album is quite, I guess, atmospheric, and a lot of it I was starting to get in, I guess, a bit lazy, but where I was really just improvising guitar, and while it was recording, and then if I got a good section, I would just trim it down to that and include it in the song. So we're gonna put that behind Theoretically Emotion. I guess we'll rank it this way as well. It's just hard because other than that, and I guess I guess that does go into D, where other than that one really good song, and I think some sound and like noise pieces that were going in there. Well, I guess I'm being pretty critical. Yeah, so we're gonna go. Okay, how about we have this low D, just because it is still my opinion and it's my list, and I guess I'm the list. I shouldn't take the list first use anyway because I'm using it just to um, have an excuse to meet him to talk about it. And but I was able to teach you how to fly. We're gonna go low C because other than like some of it's hard to listen to because it's not in time or it's just mixed really horribly that it's just grating noise. The melodies were there, the vibes were there. I was starting to get into like this moody, suburban grunge type of like moment I was having, and the picture is of a budgie that at my friend's house, and he got sat on when he hatched, and so his legs weren't any good, but I was able to put him in my hands and go like that, and he flapped his wings, and he did learn how to fly. And I'm probably not entirely responsible for that, but I did. I was just so emotionally charged at the time that I was able to like use that even as a metaphor for Jesus complex of like like I have suffered for all this, and now I can I guess show the way for other beings. But anyway, but it was a nice moment. I like it, so we're gonna leave it in C. The next big sleepy track was oh okay. So we're up to this is great. So we are up to Animals with Purpose, which is one of I guess this is I'm gonna just be completely transparent. This is one of my favorite things I've ever done because the way I write music is I'm get inspired, I start, and then the second I run out of steam and I get the shits with it and I don't want to do it anymore, I'm not coming back to it. So I save it. If I think it's post worthy, I post it, and then I never come back to it. Whereas this, all the songs on this project were they had time to marinate and develop because I was going, being shuffled between my relatives' houses of who wanted to look after me, and then I was I stayed in hospital for 2 months, and I was writing in there, and then I was living in a youth shelter for 4 months, and I was at night playing guitar, like refining all these melodies and concepts. I recorded it in I had one of those little Lenovo ThinkPads and just a burner phone that I got from Coles, and I'd figured out how to Bluetooth the like microphone from the phone into the computer, and then I just in all one afternoon, all these I think 6 or 7 tracks, like got them into Audacity, did very minimal editing, and then saved it. And as much as I criticize a lot of my other work for the actual recording quality not being very good, I think this kind of adds an element to it because it has that vibe of a bad phone connection and how it was picking up background noise around things but not in silence. So I really like it, and I think just all the lyrics are really powerful because I was, I guess, channeling a lot of grief I was going through at the time into a really meaningful piece here. And so we're going to put it in S tier because still to this day, I think it's one of the best things I've ever made. And all of the ideas just really had time to organically grow over a period of, I guess, a year or two. Um, yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm quite happy with Animals with Purpose. This was really inspired by Flat Sound and Mitchell Welling, and it's almost I think when I posted it, I did make kind of allude to it when I said I was ripping him off, but I started to really get a formula here of being able to just get a pattern down on the plucking with the guitar. And there's one song I wish I had included, and maybe but I didn't, and maybe I'll record it and put it as a bonus one day. But yeah, these are all just really symbolically charged album, and I really like it. And then the last on this big sleepy account, because I didn't want to pay for SoundCloud, so I just made a new account. We have Forgotten Songs from Neurosis Hell. So Forgotten Songs from Neurosis Hell, this is basically all the stuff from the sleep catching era and maybe early Big Sleepy, but I don't think so. That just wasn't quite good enough to make it onto an album, or not quite good, because a lot of the stuff on here is really playful and really experimental, and I was quite inspired by Hushy Forlung at that time, so I was trying to experiment with break chord drums and sampling and really just filling up a piece with noise and pattern and rhythm and but not all of it. There's literally just a lot of experimental stuff on here, stuff that I was just really playing with and that I think have a lot of value but didn't quite have the thematic or emotional depth that maybe wanted to include it on a main release. So we'll put it in C with Sleep Catching because it just I do enjoy it, but a lot of it's not. A lot of it has that thing I would do where I would get one really good section and then build the scaffold of a song around it enough so that I could release it. But a lot of it's really fun, and a lot of stuff I sampled on there. I was really afraid if I did include it in a main release, I'd get sued. And I guess I'm not really still sure how that works, but I think there's some really cool stuff in there that I quite enjoyed. So that next album and the spiritual successor, I guess, follow up to Animals with Purpose, is called Stability. I'd written these works because I was done recording, basically done. I'd recorded, put a nice bow on all of the project I was working on earlier, um, and now I had time. I had a place to live. I had enough to eat. You know, I had a pillow under my head at night. And so I was able to kind of redirect my energy into writing again instead of holding these songs with me and carrying them. The biggest flaw I think with this album is that it's a little bit forgettable because a lot of it is I was experimenting and playing around with like Audacity's like built-in filter and plugins, I guess, built-in filters and stuff, and really just playing around with sound. I had a keyboard, so I was using a lot of drum loops that were built into the keyboard, and really just um, yeah. And I was smoking a lot of weed at the time, so a lot of it is really vibey and really flowy and atmospheric. Sampling a lot of like just like long samples of cartoons to fill up the soundscape instead of really use it as an instrument or build a melody. Um, but I do like it. I think it just is forgettable, unfortunately, because it doesn't have that poetic weight. And I think the mixing I was really bad. Like one of the best songs on the album, um, that it's called Paranoid. It's a good it's a good song. I think the lyrics are a little light. Like again, they didn't have that emotional weight in it. But the lead, which is a good melody, I had so loud that it's just completely like abrasive to listen to, and it's a shame. And I wish I still had like the project files so I could go back in and edit them with what I knew now. But I just have the finished waves, and so I guess that's just gonna be what it is. And I liked it, and I think so we're looking at a little bit of like a grungy moment here, but also a little bit of like a suburban jungle from Homestuck, for example. Built like then using the instruments that were in this keyboard that I had. So it was experimental. It was vibey. It definitely carries like it's a really textury and colory album for me, but it's just ultimately forgettable. Now, what's really funny is to have a little bit of a laugh. The next project is called Suicide Scaphandre. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. I think it was a French word that meant spacesuit or diving suit or something. Um, to go from perceived stability to this, I was getting into it this time, I guess, using amphetamines, and it very quickly progressed to being like an almost everyday thing. And like I was really worked up and paranoid, and like I'm not that type of person that should be doing that. Like I have so much anxiety and nervous energy as it is. Like it was just such a bad idea anyway. But it very quickly became a thing, and I made this album to express that paranoid and overwhelmed and irritated and angry feelings that I was feeling, um, and quite hopeless and frustrated. Like it's all, and I think it was fun because went back to using the Space Invaders and the Game Boy instruments that I was using in a lot of my initial stuff, but with like more driven and kick drums, and I was using like mallcore like scene screamo vocals, or I was trying to, um, and I think that just really made for a really interesting sound and an interesting moment. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to like. I don't know, there's like a lot of it's just not in time. Like the ingredients for really good pieces there, but the execution and the production and like not even really just being able to keep all the instruments in time with each other. Or I guess, but I think it was because I was still using the phone that I was Bluetoothing to the to my computer to produce it in Audacity, and so I would produce the song in LMMS, export that, put it into Audacity, and then record the vocals over the top and edit it from there. But the vocals, because of the phone, had this input lag, and so I'd sing into it, and then I'd have to like tweak it so that it was in time. And I think I just got lazy, but it is fun. This, I'm gonna put it high D tier because as much as the execution was really poor, this was fun. The concept was there. I think there are a couple pieces on there. Like one was just a clip from Charlotte's Web that was dedicated to my boyfriend at the time, which was quite sweet. But there's also like the first track is this like I guess it was really just a lazy me throwing all these ingredients together hip hop track, and then my friend had come over, my friend had come through the house at the time, and he was like, and he liked it, and I thought, like, do you want to lay down a verse on it? Because he was a rapper, and he's like, yeah, let's go. And I think it's funny. I think it's funny. It's like it's got groove to it, but hip hop's not my genre. It's never been production wise, and a lot of it was just not really any writing from me, but just pulling from all these pre-made loops and sticking them together and putting a Pokemon sample over it. But it was fun. But I think my favorite track on the album, other than the real driven like screamery stuff that you know has all that energy and emotion, was I scaled it all back and just had like a clean electric guitar atmospheric riff and this poem, which I think for the time was quite articulate and like mature of me, and had a lot of awareness and insight to how I was feeling, and it just had and so I do really like that track. That track's called Rotten Fruit. But other than that, is going in D tier because, you know, as much as it's being fun, or D tier, yeah, D tier, because as much as it's, oh yeah, as much as it's fun, this album uh I wouldn't show it to any of my friends. You know what I mean? And be like, this is like work that I'm proud of. But like I really like the vibes that were happening there. Very good. And then so we have MDMA Will Turn Your Mates Gay, which is an album that I wrote um, because which is an album that I wrote. It's really just, I guess I would even just call it a single, where there's a good song on it that is just like a, you know, strumming on my guitar and singing some sweet, childish, but, you know, like trying to convey this feeling of like devastation and this lost feeling that I had. I guess breaking up with my partner at the time, and I was like 17, I think. So it was, you know, these big feelings and this big emotional, like a lot of emotional stuff. And then I had two atmospheric tracks that I really had just thrown together and to kind of just like immortalize the moment that I was having there. So it's gonna go in D tier, not because I don't like it, but just because it was more of a moment that I was trying to immortalize. But the main song, "Do I Want to Know," which was the, I guess, the breakup-y song. It was funny. I actually showed the boy that it was about, the song, and he said that I needed to put a lyric video on it with that picture on YouTube, and then like all the little sad teenage, really bad attachment styley relationships would you know, like the cry wank and listeners and that would really enjoy it, and then I get really popular. So I guess that was like this. That was like a sweet moment. I'm gonna put it in D because, you know, there's that one good song, but I don't think it was recorded very well. I just think the songwriting was good, and the rest of it was just more of like a taking a photo of that point in time. So next we have Hands That Hurt, and this is still Big Sleepy. Hands That Hurt, was the first album I wrote when after I moved out of my hometown, and moved, I guess, the nearest city, and there's some cool stuff on here. Like I think what it does is good is I had gotten sober around, actually that's important. I'd gotten sober in between this album and this album, and so now instead of just getting high and then like letting creativity flow out of me, I was operating out of a place of a lot more intention and a lot more like focus and a lot more I guess technique. And by now I'd kind of, I think, built this skill set, and so there's a lot of variety on here. There's a lot of the you know, the computer generated instruments. There's a lot of real instruments. There's a lot of singing and poetry. There's, you know, that's more emotionally charged. There's a lot of just like statementy and like driven and kicky stuff in there. What I was using to record the vocals was, do you remember the corded earbuds that came with the microphone on them that you get with like iPods and that back in the day? So I was using that and then just like trying to just edit the hell out of it from within the computer to make it sound good. When I was making lo-fi, there just has a lot of like tracks that are in it that are recorded with this cheap hardware, I guess, and then it ends up sounding like there's a chainsaw in the background. So I think while melodically and musically I do like them, they're a little bit miserable, and it's a little bit hard to listen to them just because the, I guess, production value is so low. But I do think this is a B tier album. I do really like it, and I do just think it has a lot of variety. It has a lot of intention, and it has a lot of moodiness in it. And it has a lot of like I guess, artistry. It was one of those things where it wasn't made to be a project. It was like a compilation of all the songs I'd written in that era, presented as an album. But yeah, I think it has a lot of spunk and a lot of mood to it. And I think I was getting like a bit of technical skill here, and I wasn't quite stuck in like a formula like I was with some other releases where it was kind of like a formula of how I was going to do a song. Like a lot of like, the lazy formula for me at the moment is to track down some guitars, write a poem, sing over the top, do a melody with some other instrument or on the guitar again, and then lose steam, and then just like get some clips from like a cartoon or a movie or something, and kind of overlay it over the top to like add interest to the bits where I didn't have any lyrics in it. Whereas Hands That Hurt, I wasn't quite stuck in a formula, so there's a lot of different stuff going on there. So I'm gonna give it a low B tier. Um, the next release is Eat Me Alive, and this is more just like a 4 song EP, I guess, where I unfortunately did relapse. It was just me holed up in my apartment for a couple of days using and just being creative and experimenting. And I think this release is very charming. I think a lot of the like the after I initially got all the concepts and like sounds together, anything I was doing after that was really an afterthought, and I'd get bored and even just finish them how they were. And I can never release this because it is mostly copyrighted material, and it's mostly like, instead of songs, I was like piecing together loops and like to kind of just build this atmosphere that it had a lot of emotional weight, especially concerning like my love life and my father, and I guess my just self-worth as a whole in here. But the soundscape was quite light, like it was quite playful, was quite not quite a song or driven. It was kind of just, like egging along at its own pace, and non-conventional percussion in it. So I do like it, but we're gonna put it in C tier. Probably, yeah, we'll put it there. We're gonna put it in C tier because it's a moment. The colors are there, the sounds are there, the shapes and textures are there for my synesthesia. The mood was there. I guess the meaning was kind of there, but it was just a bit lazy. Like the last song on the album, the background sound that was coming from the like or the vocals cut off, and then it just the track sounded very different, and then like really unprocessed after that, and I was yeah, whatever, drop it. The last album on the Big Sleepy project was, or album, I guess, EP or single, was Toxic Vomit Laboratory, which is where in this release I was being very inspired by moody, old, really stripped down early My Chemical Romance stuff, I guess, for the first track. And so it's kind of like that driven, like faint, like suggestion of a humming, like grungy track. And then second track was just a guitar loop with a really miserable Family Guy clip over the top. So I'm going to throw it in D tier. Not because I don't like it, not because I don't, it is only D tier as well. I didn't include really E or F because I don't really hate any of my work, but it's not a strong release, and I was really just screaming into the void. But because I thought I hated it a lot more than I did, but I went and listened to it for this, and I was like, it's okay, it's okay. It's just one of those things again that I just really wouldn't show anyone. I wouldn't include it in my portfolio. Now, lastly, we have, so my current project, Noxa is the kind of working name at the moment because I haven't just like decided on what I really want to call it. Called Eyes Stapled Open, which is a phrase I like because it's like you are alive and you are taking it all in, and you are here whether you like it or not. Like kind of like a eyes stapled open, non-consensual sadomasochistic relationship with the universe that I seem to have. But I really like this release. It could be that I've just made it, and I'm sure in a couple of years' time I'll be talking about what I didn't realize that I wasn't doing or was doing wrong. But I think this is really good. A lot of the tracks on this I've made because I've been doing some video projects on here, and I've been making the soundtracks myself. And so a lot of the tracks on there are, I guess, ones that I did make and then come back to for several days to refine for my video projects, and that I think that I'm quite pleased with. And I've been using one of these, which is a like a 8 track or a 4 track that I got off the internet. And all of the stuff on this, or most of this, yeah, all of the stuff on this album, I think, is like analog instruments that like my keyboard or my guitar. I have a melodica, all threaded through this 4 track to make, which is really just making the production process for me a lot more tactile and a lot more interesting, and I guess a lot more engaging. Um, there is a lot of like singer songwriter stuff on here. That a lot of the pertains to dealing with attachment issues and self worth, and I guess relationships turning sour. Which I think the songs are good by themselves, and I quite enjoy them. But at the end of one of them, I because this was a few years ago. This is how long I've been I guess tinkering around with this project without releasing it. Was I just put like this miserable BoJack Horseman clip at the end of it, and I wish I didn't, and I wish I still had the file so I could take it out and re-release it, but I can't, and I guess I just have to accept that that was how I was feeling in that moment. Um, and a lot of I've been doing it's a little bit of experimental like ambience, not quite drone, but like sound, not quite noise stuff, and sampling some really old stuff I found on Internet Archive. So I'm gonna put it in A tier because I think I do like it. Like I think the concept's there. I think there is a common thread between it all. Um, I think conceptually it's pretty cool. I enjoyed making it, and I'm excited to see, I guess, how this project evolves as well because it's quite different from a like process standpoint to the rest of my work. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching. I like doing this because I liked reflecting, I guess, and seeing how much my sound has changed, and who I've been inspired by has changed over, I guess, the last 7 years. And I guess we'll speculate on what might happen from here. But I think I'm quite proud of a lot of it, even if I wouldn't show a lot of it to anyone. I think in the intimacy of my own creative process, I'm quite proud of myself. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna edit this all down now, and try and stay out of the heat. So I hope you're well. Bye.